What's up, you guys? Welcome back into iHeartRadio's official wrestling podcast. It is the Battleground podcast. I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, Eli. And man, talk about a fun week this week for AEW. Tomorrow night, it is the 6-year anniversary show. And I got to tell you, man, super excited about our guest here on the show today, who has been a day oneer for AEW, getting here to the 6-year anniversary. Give it up for Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Or do we say just Jack Perry? Do we Scapegoat? Like, what do you want us to call you now?
I can't even keep up these days. I don't know. I think I'm not going back to Jungle Boy. That's what I know. For me, honestly, if the people can come up with something cool, I'm down for it. It's kind of cool for me. It's evolved over the years, and it was Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and then Scapegoat Jack Perry, and then who knows? A year from now might be something Jack Perry or nothing at all. Who knows?
We'll let the fans decide that when they come chanting your name on Wednesday night's Dynamite for the 6-year anniversary. Now, I do want to talk about it because your return it all out. Absolutely electric. And I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about it. I'm sure you did too. The moment when Tarzan Boy hit again, that crowd erupted. And of course, you reunited with Luchasaurus. That had to be surreal. Yeah. Kind of walk us through that moment.
That was crazy. And that was the culmination of so long. Without saying too much and throwing certain people under the bus, maybe one day, but he's one of my best friends in the entire world in wrestling and out. And that's something we've been talking about for a long time. And there were many iterations over the years of how we would come back together. There was an evil version that somebody else ruined and we didn't get to do it. And there was all sorts of stuff. And this past year, we both ended up being off. And he was off. He had pneumonia, which has been documented and all that. But it turned out to be pretty serious. And he almost died, which really, it's surreal. This guy's like your best friend and I'm talking to him every day and all that. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I could have died. And it really kind of puts things into perspective, just sort of how fragile life is. And then really what's important, because it's easy, I feel like, to kind of get lost in the weeds of like, I'm pissed about this. I hate this guy. I want to do this. But so it really kind of put it all in perspective. And we were thinking, the way it had worked out, we were both off. What do we want to do? And we wanted to do this again because we felt like we could do it better than the first time. And we both know ourselves so much more and it's different. And then it turned out to be just about the hardest thing in the world to make it happen. Just scheduling and things were coming up and there were certain people who seemed hell-bent on not letting it happen. But we fought through it all and we kept going and we kept going. And finally, it culminated in that moment that you saw. And it just felt so good. I feel like I couldn't have asked for it to go any better.
Mm-hmm.
And since the last time we tagged, I was just looking up, it's been like 1,000-something days. And I was just thinking about how much everything has changed since then and how much we've both been through. And to end up being there with our day one act, we were both pretty much unknown guys when AEW started. And so just for us to hug and get that kind of reaction, and then this music plays and people are going nuts, with my best friend who I started with, who we've been through all that, and we came back. And, from the beginning, people were telling us, this gimmick sucks, this is stupid, you guys this and that and whatever. And that's the reaction we got. It just felt very cathartic in a way. It was sort of the culmination of so much, but also the beginning of a brand new chapter, which I'm very excited for.
Yeah, that was a great answer. FY, the date for you guys was June 15th, 2022. That was the last time you tagged together. So yes,
it was, and I remember that because it was the day before my birthday.
Okay.
And then I got pummeled in the head with a chair, so that birthday was a bit interesting.
Yeah, that was against the Young Bucks too, not to rub that in. So anyway,
but you still rub it in anyway.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I didn't go into the details of it. I just, anyway, you can find the details. Anyways, speaking of your return all out, you threw out the Kill Switch belt at the end of that, and it just sent everyone into a frenzy at that point. Was that as much of a symbolic moment for you, or was it kind of in a way shedding some of that dark persona that you had embraced over the last year or so?
For It's funny for me, for him. I felt that was a really important moment for him more than anything.
That's fair.
And here's the thing about him. First of all, people. I mean, like I don't know. People have always about him wanted to try and like tear him down for different reasons or whatnot. But the thing is, every time he goes out there, the crowd is going nuts,
Right.
chanting Luchasaurus like all the. And I used to be annoyed because I'd be in there in the ring, like doing all this stuff and all this, and they're chanting Luchasaurus. And I was like, I'm in here getting my ass kicked, trying to do all this stuff, getting dropped on my head, and they're chanting Luchasaurus the whole time. I was like, but whatever. But it's the magic of it. And I for whatever reason, people try and diminish him. And he's a star. And they are going nuts for Luchasaurus in a way they don't go nuts for many people because they're like interacting with him in a different way.
I agree.
I hated the kill switch thing. I thought that was stupid. And I thought the fact that they were chanting Luchasaurus through the entire time sort of showed you that. And for me, I wanted him to sort of reclaim almost it's his name, but it's his power. That is Luchasaurus. He's never going to get them not to chant Luchasaurus.
Right.
And I could have thrown the belt in the crowd if I wanted to, but I said to him, I want you to throw that because that's not you, and you know who you are. And that felt powerful. He took it and he looked at it and he screamed and he threw it, and they went nuts too. And if he had thrown it and no one had made any noise, it would have been like whatever. But I think we all felt that. And he is Luchasaurus again, and we are ready to take this on in this sort of new form. It's a bit darker than it was the first time. We've all grown. One of the things that he pointed out to me, he was like, look, if a kid was like 6 years old when we started and they loved the Jurassic Express and we were what we were in green, that kid's like 12 now, about to be 13. They're growing up a little. They are probably feeling different than when they were 6. So I like that thing that we are kind of maturing and changing as the show goes.
Right.
And for a kid who was 6 and loved the green dinosaur and the little jungle boy, now I'm a teenager and I'm a little pissy sometimes and whatever. And now they wear black and it's a little moody and this. So I don't know. It's cool for us to sort of be able to grow and change and experiment and all that because that's pretty much what life is.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that kid aspect. As a father myself who has a kid who is 8 years old, has watched AEW since it started, like what you said of watching Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus go at it, and then seeing it now and seeing him transition into an older kid. It's one of these cool moments that they can grow with you guys, like you said. And I got to say, the really cool thing that as a fan watching the aspect of the little subtle hints of you coming back, of course, the Young Bucks, where they were dropping those little teas, the cryptic notes, the subtle nods in the weeks before your return. Now, did you enjoy watching fans speculate while you stayed quiet, or were you just kind of itching to finally pull the trigger and come back?
No, it was I like the speculation and stuff, and purposely a lot of the times I always prefer kind of subtlety and leaving things a little vague. And obviously I could have showed my face making a knife or whatever it was, but to me the fun is people being like, "Oh, well, that must have come from Jack, obviously this and that." And we had these vignettes too that when Luchasaurus was revived, there was a hand in it, which was my hand in a glove. But I saw people going online and being like, "This is Jack's hand. This is the kind of jacket he wears. This and that." And we ended up revealing it later. The idea was it was sort of a happy mistake because our original plan got ruined, but we ended up revealing it later, and we were thinking kind of like the Saw movies where they at the end reveal how the beginning happened and this and that. But I felt it was so cool to just have put the little teaser and let people speculate because that's the fun. If you just give them all the answers, it's I guess it can be cool, but for me, it's fun to get them involved and then seeing people put it together and like, oh, look, this button matches from when he showed up in New Japan and did this and that. So to me, that was really cool and exciting to see that people are wanting to participate in that way.
Yeah. Speaking of your New Japan run, the Scapegoat came out of that and just an awesome transformation in your evolution as as a performer. Stark contrast to Jungle Boy, of course,
Yes.
almost night and day different. Now that you've returned and you seem to be embracing elements of both past and present, what parts of the Scapegoat era do you want to carry forward with you?
I think what the scapegoat thing did for me was really let me be myself more than I
Mhm.
ever had before. And there were elements of me in Jungle Boy, but obviously I'm not an actual Jungle Boy. So, there was when it came to, I felt like I was kind of in a weird spot because, like, when it came to talking and saying things, I was like, I'm not gonna like make monkey noises or whatever, but I don't feel like it's also fully appropriate to just be me because there's like in this thing where Jungle Boy probably wouldn't sound like me, but I also and I wasn't sure. And it was I don't know, it was a character that at a certain point I couldn't fully relate to.
Right.
And the scapegoat thing was, I mean, it was nothing. It was a word, but it was just me. And it allowed me to be myself in a different way and just free me. And there were no rules at that point. Especially the way things were. It was just like I was just kind of out doing whatever I felt like. And I felt like New Japan really was the perfect place. The way they have those little post-match promos set up,
Hmm.
you literally walk through the door sweaty and like out of breath and whatever, and someone just has a camera there. And there's no one saying, "Hey, I want you to do this" or whatever. There's no time to even think. So it just like, and some of them turn out shitty and some of them turn out cool. But it just allows you to be you in a different way. And I feel like that's what I got out of the whole thing. Um, and just I'm into all sorts of weird stuff, like driving clunky buses around and melting. So whatever. And it just like opened all that up to me in a way that I feel like I never would have got there otherwise.
Right. Yeah.
Right, for sure. And I think the one thing, and me and Eli have had this conversation in the past, we're big, scary movie guys. And when we saw The Mask, when you debuted it, it was like, holy shit, this is
Yeah.
awesome. So I would love to know like the thought process of, obviously, if people are watching this right now on YouTube, The Mask is behind you. Walk us through that creation process. Like, it's incredible. I saw it in person in the front row at Blood and Guts, and I was like, this is awesome. But I want the creative process. How do you come up with that?
Okay, well, again, without throwing people under the bus, it's funny because the plan for me to come back from that whole thing was much different and actually involved Luchasaurus and a sort of different iteration of everything. And that all got scrapped. And then I just felt like I had nothing. I wasn't tethered to anybody or anything, and it was all this stuff had happened, and I'm just out in the middle of nowhere by myself, not at work and whatever. And I was texting Chris Jericho actually, and he was sort of checking in on me during that time, and he was saying, "How's it going, man? Whatever." And I said, "It's actually really not good. A, B, and C, whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, it sucks, man. They're making you the scapegoat for the whole thing." And as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's cool. I like that. Um, and I never actually like I've known the word obviously scapegoat, whatever, but I didn't think it was a literal goat. So I was like, let me just Google where this comes from. And I Googled it, and it's like this ancient religious thing where people would take a goat once a year and sacrifice it for all their sins, or they would just send it out in the wilderness to die to like the devil or something. Um, and then it had this kind of imagery. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like they're out here like sacrificing goats. I don't know. And that's kind of how I felt at the time too. I've just been sent off into the wilderness. Um, so I started then looking into stuff, and that kind of gave me an image of somewhere to go with it. And I was just looking online for goat mask, maybe. I don't know why I thought of that. And I found it. And a woman here in California, she makes these crazy Halloween masks, and they're super cool. And once I saw this, I was like, okay, I can see what I'm going for here. And I kind of developed. I felt like it could have been more fleshed out, but to me there were like two elements of it, and one was this kind of like cult leader element, which was like more when it was me, and then the other one was the goat, which like is the sacrifice.
Right.
And it was this idea of like me saying like we all have to sacrifice, and I'm willing to sacrifice myself, and then I am the goat who's being sacrificed as well. So it became, I don't know, and I was like figuring it out as I went, obviously, but I felt it was cool to have this sort of double thing of me wanting everyone to sacrifice the way I felt I had to, but then also me always being willing to sacrifice. And you talk about the blood and guts. That to me was cool to there's obviously some symbolic stuff, but I'm tied up there and I'm willing to get my skull bashed in with a chair or be lit on fire.
Mhm.
Sort of. So I don't know. It all kind of became more and more, and I was figuring it out as I went. And sort of being inspired by movies and things. The movie No Country for Old Men, I don't know why that really stuck with me. I saw it that year and I was like, there are things here that I could put into this. And but again, it just freed me up in a way to see things and like things and think new things that I think if I had just shown up as Jungle Boy one day and been like, hey guys, I want to do this, everyone would have been like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, it was very cerebral, like the way it was presented. I mean,
Yeah.
it just felt dangerous. You know what I mean? Like it was, especially kind of coming after all the events that had been happening in pro wrestling and stuff. It just was such a exclamation point. It felt like, and it was really awesome to kind of see you grow in that. I guess is the best way to explain it. Yeah, it was very awesome.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was some people didn't like it, but that's just how it works. I loved it, and it was some of the most fun I've ever had, and I'm grateful that I got to have that.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely keeping a fair amount of it going forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. Recently first thing we got to say is Tony Khan announced we're finally getting women's tag team titles.
Yep.
I'm sure there's someone in your orbit that's happy about that.
Oh yeah, I've been hearing about it.
Yeah. There has been a kind of a renewed interest in intergender tag team wrestling. A lot of kind of marquee matches over the last like 5 to 6 weeks have been going on with intergender tag team wrestling. Is that something you'd be interested in at all down the road?
Yeah, potentially. I think if it's sort of the right scenario, it kind of just depends on what and when and why and whatever. But I think that could be interesting. Um, yeah, I guess there is more of it. I kind of hadn't thought about that till you said it, but yeah, we'll see. It depends who and what and how it goes. But yeah,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Solid stuff
Great
for
answer.
sure.
Yep.
Of course, super excited about AEW celebrating 6-year anniversary tomorrow night, which again, it's incredible because you look at it and there's a lot of people online that wanted to count out AEW, that they weren't going to last for a year. And here we are 6 years later and still going strong. Now, I one thing I want to ask you about, because you see this and everybody talks about creative input when it comes to AEW, and everybody's got their own opinions on it. But from your entrance music to the gear to the storylines you're in, how much creative input do you have these days? Because everybody that we've talked to from AEW says that Tony is always open to any and everything that's been thrown his way.
yeah, for sure. I guess some people get more than others. Some people who I wish probably didn't have it get more than you'd want. But anyways, for me at this point, I feel like obviously there are some things you can't do, but like for example, was it last year, or the year before, I wanted to get lit on fire, and that was something that I had sort of experimented with. And when I said it, everyone was like, "Are you sure about that? Do you want?" And I sent a video of me lighting myself on fire in the yard just to show, like, yeah, I'm serious. Like, um, and that got to come to fruition. I had started in my time off in the Scapegoat thing, kind of filming my own vignettes in my garage. I did one with a film projector and one with a bunch of TVs.
Nice.
And so I kind of felt I found this style, and I had said with the Luchasaurus Saw revival thing, I was like, I have this idea, and I want to dig a coffin up and then hitch it to my bus and drive it down the street. because I think it will make a bunch of sparks on the street and that'll look really cool. And they were like, all right, yeah, if you can, make that happen, we can do that. And I did it, and they sent out the film crew. This guy Giancarlo, he's the mastermind behind a lot of the filming and stuff. Dan, the prop guy, who is unnamed and in the shadows, but he was awesome, made it work. And so yeah, I then for real got to drive a coffin down the street in the middle of the night and spark it up and all this stuff. So I found within reason, I pretty much can bring whatever I want to the table, and make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Now,
right.
I will say this, and it's been really fun to watch because we follow you on social media. Watching your knife making videos, this has been incredible. By the way, what kind of got you into this? Because I mean, I watched Forged in Fire, and it's very unique that you could take this little piece of steel and make a sword or a dagger or whatever, and it's got to be also calming for you to like at the end. You're like, I made this.
Yeah, for sure. I I keep one with me all the time. Now, this is one of my little ones right here. They're not the best yet. I'm still working on it, but it's a little kind of. I got one back here too. This is the one I was wearing in the ring at All Out when I went back on a little pocket sheath. But the way that all came about is funny because it is related to wrestling as well. I had sort of gotten into this idea. I made this vignette with these TVs, and I wanted to make this mask that was like almost a mirror, kind of, that was like reflecting the TVs back and all. And
Yeah.
that ended up not happening, but I was experimenting with how a mirror is made, and it's like a little layer of tin. And you can actually melt tin in a pan on the oven. So I got into that, and that didn't work. But I was then into the idea of metal melting. And Anna actually for Christmas that year got me this it's just like a little, what do you call it, like a crucible thing, and you throw soda cans in it and melt it. So I was just doing that in my off time, making whatever. And then I won the TNT title. And at first, people used to change the color of the leather all the time. And I thought that was cool because it's like a little spin on each guy who has it. And when I got it, I said, hey guys, can I change the leather? I thought that was really cool. And I wanted to put some like maybe animal fur or something. And somebody said, no, you can't change the leather. And especially at that time, I was like, oh okay. Very good. And I got to thinking, and I was like, I think I could just make a belt, because I for sure am changing it. And the fact that you told me now that I can, like 1000%, and I'm going to change it more than you ever thought. So I got one of the replicas, and I went and started molding it with the sand and all that and melting. And it took me like a week to get it perfect, but I ended up getting it. And then I was like, I'm changing this thing as much as I can, and I painted it black and put blood and all this stuff. And that ended up being my TNT title, which I got up here somewhere.
Nice.
But then that sort of seeing that I could do that, because I wasn't sure I could do it, but I was like, I'm pretty sure. Seeing that I could make that just sort of got me more into the idea of metal stuff. And then I ended up with another long period of time off. And I kind of was like, let me see if I can make a knife. And the first one I made was terrible. And then I was like, I think I could do a little better and a little better. And then I kept having more and more time off and this and that. And I was like, I'm just going to go for it. And it sort of transitioned into this thing that, they're not amazing or anything, but I can see I'm getting better at it. And it's kind of fun. And it's ended up now being incorporated into the wrestling in a way that I didn't think was going to happen. It was just me trying to kill time at home.
Right.
But that also has kind of ended up lending itself to the character a bit. I don't know. It's just freedom to kind of integrate all this stuff. But yeah, I got these little things. Something to tinker around with at home.
I have a feeling not only are we going to see Jack Perry on AEW, I think we're going to see him on an episode of Forged in Fire very, very soon.
We'll see. I'm not good enough yet, but one of these days I'll keep at it and we'll see.
Man, it's great to have you on the show. I know a lot of fans, including myself and Eli, are very excited to have you back, especially after that reunion of you and Luchasaurus. Last question for you, because we always like to have fun at the end of the show. obviously Tarzan Boy, iconic theme song for you, but with this new era that you're coming into, if you could pick somebody to do your new theme song coming out, who would you pick?
It's hard to say, and it's funny. We were talking about this, and there's this kind of. I mean, we're gonna see. We don't know. We're just throwing it all at the wall and seeing if it works. The people love the song so much. I don't know if we can go without it. And for me, it was really cool too. They started singing it before it even played, and I think now when you see the two of us together, it's like that's what you. So I'm interested to see if we can kind of have this duality of like all this kind of darker stuff while that music is playing.
Oh yeah.
Um, which I don't know. I mean, like this is not the same at all, but like White Lotus, for example, which I watch, it's like it's all on the surface kind of very nice, and they're in a hotel and all this, and then there's a murder going on underneath. And I feel like there are a lot of shows and things like that. I will tell you this: I have no idea about new music because I haven't thought about it. When I first turned heel, this is just a little. I had we'd been talks about getting me a song by Alice in Chains called "Them Bones." That's what I don't know why.
Yeah.
That's what I had always seen, and I really wanted that. And that ended up falling through, I guess. And they told me maybe an hour, 30 minutes before I went out, we didn't get that. It didn't work. You're gonna go out with no music, and you're just gonna like talk. And I was like, okay. And then they came back 20 minutes before, and they're like, actually, you're going out to Beethoven. I was like, what the hell is going on here? And then that was what it was for a bit. So I don't know about the new music, but that's a little fun story in place of that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jack, again, it's such an honor and a privilege to have you here on the show with us today. And again, like I said, we're trying not to mark out, but who cares? This is our show. We can mark out. So
Yeah, do whatever
it's
you
great
want.
to have you here on the show, to see you start from where you were day one to where you are now. Super excited for you for sure. And before we let you go, anything you want to say to people watching or listening to this right now?
Yeah, just stay tuned, man. It's been a wild ride. I can't believe it's been 6 years. It feels like a whole lifetime almost. But the best is yet to come. I firmly believe that, and we're having fun. I hope you guys are having fun too. It's wrestling. Just enjoy it.